Hey YouTube, everybody else. We're back for part 3 of me critiquing Pastor Curtis Knapp's clarifying himself when he said that the government should kill gay people. There's still like a half an hour left of his sermon to go through, and I'm restricted to 15 minutes on YouTube, so I may only do like 2 more parts of this. So link down below will be part 1, part 2, and a link to his sermon that I am critiquing here.
My point last week was only to show that homosexuality is worthy of death, because I wanted you to see that it's not like our culture thinks of it. We have accepted it. We've come to grow used to it and accustomed to it. And that's not the way it is with God.
Okay. Curtis and all homophobic bigots out there, listen very carefully. Every society that we have records for, even societies that were starting to form before language was formed, as in written language, we have records for homosexuality, bisexuality, group sex, pansexuality. It's all throughout our history. We have more than 200,000 years worth of records to go through, if you include everything pre-lingual or pre-written language. Also, the science has shown that homosexuality exists not only in our species, but in like 5,000 other species that are part of the animal kingdom. See, more and more people are realizing that sexuality for our species is really widespread, and that monogamy is not the norm for how our species has evolved and adapted over time. So you close-minded, bigoted fucks that want to look at a collection of manuscripts that have been shown to have been altered and edited and rewritten and split apart and voted on, and say that that is supposed to be some ultimate word, deserve to be laughed at very much. And when you want to justify killing another group of human beings based on your religion itself, you deserve to be criticized, mocked, and harassed.
And the fact that he imposed the death penalty upon it shows us how God feels about it.
Curtis and all you religious people that want to use your holy text to rule over everybody else, of every single religion, you do realize that none of you have ever shown that your deity or your God exists or created us. You do realize that you have nothing to back up your claims at all. But you want to impose what you think a God is, and that your God was responsible for our creation and wrote your particular holy text should be imposed on everybody else. Separation of church and state. You know, the First Amendment, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. Does that weigh anything? Does that click anywhere? And even if you theists can actually prove that a deity created us, I would be an anti-theist immediately. I'm sorry, I consider myself a free individual that thinks for himself. I don't need some omnipotent being telling me what to do.
But I'm not advocating anyone to go out and start harming homosexuals. Not at all. Or killing them. Christians have no business with that at all. Churches have no business with that. When I brought up the government, it was merely to try to insist that the government is the one whose job it is to impose the death penalty, not anyone else. God gave the sword to the state, Romans chapter 13. He said it is an avenger of evil. It is a ordinance of God that put on earth to avenge evil. So it's the government's job. That's why I was talking about the government.
Now, what's funny is that you just rationalized in your own mind, saying again what you said last week was that the government should kill people because the Bible done says that gay people should be killed. I'm just wondering, how does it feel, or what does it take to rationalize something like that? How?
That was my point. And there is also a big difference between what a government should do if it were trying to establish a penal code and what I want personally for homosexuals. I don't want homosexuals to all be rounded up and put to death. What I want is for them to be saved. They shall be put to death. That's what happened in Israel. That's why homosexuality wouldn't have grown in Israel. It tends to limit conversions. It tends to limit people coming out of the closet. Oh, so you're saying that we should go out and start killing them? No. I'm saying the government should. They won't, but they should. Say, I can't believe you. You're horrible. You're a backwards Neanderthal of a person. Is that what you're calling Scripture? Is God a Neanderthal backwards in his morality? Is this His Word or not? If it's His Word, He commanded it. It's His idea, not mine, and I'm not ashamed of it. I want for them to be saved. And to know Jesus Christ. And to know real joy. And real happiness.
You want us to be happy? Leave us the fuck alone. We're not hurting anybody. We're not hurting you. We're not hurting our neighbors. We're not hurting society. Stop making laws that make us unequal under the law. You know, like marriage equality. It's what we've been asking for. You know, the states that have it and the other countries that have marriage equality, they have shown no negative side effects whatsoever. Just stop with us. That will make us happy.
You know, just 9 years ago, it was technically against the law to be a homosexual in the state of Kansas. That hardly takes us back to the Dark Ages. That was just 9 years ago. And Kansas didn't repeal it. It was simply swept off the books by Lawrence v. Texas in 2003. A Supreme Court case that was challenged in Texas over sodomy laws. When the Supreme Court ruled against it as an intrusion of privacy, 14 states' laws were wiped off the books in 2003. Those states never repealed their anti-sodomy laws.
Yeah, because the Supreme Court came to the conclusion, like every social science report has shown and history has shown, that homosexuals are not a fucking danger to society. Can I come into your bedroom and tell you who and how you should fuck? Huh? Would you really appreciate that if the government was banging down your door telling you that you're not fucking your wife the right way? You said before that you want us to be happy, and my response was, leave us the fuck alone. Leave us the fuck alone. That would make us happy. Yeah, and that thing of the laws being stripped from 14 states, that's called social fucking progress. And we have seen no negative backlash from it. Except for bigots like you don't get to impose their will onto other people.
All of the states in the United States had anti-sodomy laws prior to the 1970s. Only one state repealed their laws prior to 1970, and that was Illinois. And after 1970, slowly but surely, most of the rest of them repealed it. And then in 2003, the last 14 were just repealed by the Supreme Court, essentially. That's the history of it. Was it punished by death? No. But our country did get the idea that it should be illegal for some reason. Where did they get that idea? That wasn't out of thin air. I would suggest to you that they got it from the Old Testament. That's where they got it.
And that same book has been used to endorse slavery in our country, to endorse segregation in our country, to endorse the denial of women's rights in our country. You want me to keep going on? You see, like, slowly but surely we're getting over bigotry in our species. Your holy book that doesn't change is holding you the fuck back. And it's a shame that people like you have to be pulled kicking and screaming into equality. That's been the repeat of history so far. Is that people like me want to move forward. People like you want to stay stagnant or go back.
When I spoke on homosexuality by preaching on Romans 1, it was to show that we are in need of a national revival. That we need God in a huge way. And that the growth of homosexuality is an indication that we are being given over as a culture to sin and unclean lusts. But homosexuality is by no means our only problem. According to Romans 1:29, when it says that God gives them over to unclean lusts, it goes on and says that they are filled with all unrighteousness. Filled with unrighteousness. And that is our culture today. We are filled with it. All kinds of unrighteousness. Not merely homosexuality. And you know what? We're all worthy of death. I said last week, Rome, that homosexuals were worthy of death. We all are. I am worthy of death. I deserve to die. And so do you. All of us do. And you know what? That's why you will die. And that's why I will die. Have you noticed that everyone you've ever known, eventually as they age, they die? That's not just because science hasn't figured out how to cure everything. If they figure out the cure to heart disease, cancer will kill you. If they then figure out how to cure cancer, your liver will go bad eventually. If they figure out the liver problem, something else will go bad. And if they were to figure out all the diseases that kill us, it doesn't keep you from being basically completely hunched over in pain and walking around wishing you were dead. We will all die. Sooner or later, and for some of us it's sooner, the coffin will be closed over us. And it will bring silence to all of our pandemonium and all of our life and all that's going on right now. And long after we're dead, the Bible will still be in print and it will still say these things, whether we like them or not.
Yes, we're all going to die. You know, we figured that out a long fucking time ago. We didn't need your book to tell us that. We knew that hundreds to thousands of years before your book was ever put together. Yeah, I don't need some deity to give my life some meaning and find joy in it. I find joy in my life and I live it to the fullest because I don't believe that there is an afterlife. Alright? Now, I'm at the real end of my time period here, so be back for part 4. Yeah, this thing's going to take forever to get through.